how on earth do you split your time from London and Malta? And I suppose it does make a little bit more sense now that I had it in my head that you were investing in, as in you were buying the properties yourself in London. How are you remotely doing it? But if you're doing your angel stuff, I get that.
Yeah.
So how do you manage to split your time? Do you have any tips or sort of advice on working in two different locations?
Yeah, I mean, when I first moved here, which was 3 years ago, I spent winters out here. That's how it started for me with the passive investing, is I wanted to spend winters out here. And actually then I was spending so much time out here, I decided actually let's just move here full time. And when I first moved, I did 36 flights the first year I was here, back and forth, literally kind of every other week I was back and forth. But also, like, at that point I was still learning, so I still wanted to go on site visits. I still wanted to be kind of go and look at what's happening with the projects. I am in a different place in terms of my understanding of developments, and by God, I'm not saying I know everything. I absolutely don't. I'm not a developer. I'm very clear and transparent about I'm not a developer. I have no desire to be a developer. So I cut back on that. Then I was back about once a month. And then obviously, the whole world's changed in the past 2 years, right? So that's made things very challenging for me. And I wasn't back to the UK for a whole 10 months until last summer, but I did spend all summer. I was back in London for 3 months over the summer, which was, I'd worked out, I'd really missed it. So I shan't be leaving it 10 months again. What drove me coming back last year was mainly kind of the programs that we make. So I had to come back in the summer because we were recording Elevator and Graduate. That's determining my plans for this year. I'm back in March because we're recording series 4 of Property Elevator. So if you've got a deal, please go and apply, and love to see you on that. But I have really good, the people that I tend to invest with now, I've known, I've watched, I've kind of become friends with them. I've watched them over a period of time, and we have really good communication. So I don't need to be there in person, kind of checking up on them, turning up on site, seeing what's going on. I'm literally, I'm on WhatsApp and I'm like, anything to report? No, nothing to report. And the 2 ladies that I mentioned that we're doing the planning deal with, we actually paused that at the beginning of lockdown 1. So we are going way back because we didn't know what was going to happen. So we paused that. But they would message me once a month just to say, Hel, there's no change. We still don't know. But just to let you know that there is nothing else to tell you. And even just that checking in, that is a beautiful example of investor relations. Or for me, I like to be kept up to date. Some people don't want to hear, some people don't want regular updates. But again, find that out first, because if you keep bothering somebody who doesn't want to be updated, then that's going to annoy them, as much as ghosting annoys me. But yeah, so they keep me updated, and I don't need to be there. So when I do go back to London, then I go around and see everything that's going on, but I don't need to be on the ground because we have such kind of good relations and trust that I know what's going on.
Yeah, you're just proof and testament that it can be done remotely. And I think what I'm getting from you is, I might be completely wrong here, but it's very important just to be upfront and honest at the outset and map out all roles, responsibilities, what's expected, what's not. I think that's a good way to be in business in general, right? Because it's just being clear and transparent, like, it avoids any further. Like, we've got a site that we just put, well, we're nearly complete on it, and we met the architect, the builder, everybody on site multiple times before we even complete. And the aim of that meeting was to try our best, although it's probably not going to always happen like that, to mitigate as many issues as possible before we even complete, and for clarity for everybody. Because I haven't done these huge builds that you have, but I'd imagine in most cases there's going to be, well, we didn't know about this, but well, what about this and this? If you can try, and I think it's pretty much impossible to stop that completely on every deal.
It is. There will always be something. People ask me about my due diligence stuff and like, can you send me a list of due diligence questions? And I'm like, I add about 10 things to it every project that I do. I'm like, oh my God, I really wish we'd asked about this. And that's with like 25 or I don't know, probably more deals like under my belt, there's always something you're like, oh my God, I really wish I'd asked that. But yeah, it's a never evolving process. Yeah.
Love that. Again, that's some great advice.